2, 1. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Delusions of Grandeur. I am one of your hosts, but today we are going to be continuing our film discussions into films that have to do with doom and destruction and supernatural and demonic type subject matter. And today we bring you. Hello, Boris. Welcome back.
Hello, thank you.
And to help me discuss this 1999 film called The End of Days. It's from 1999. It is directed by Peter Hyams, who brought to us films like Capricorn 1, Peeper, Outland, Running Scared, The Presidio, Stay Tuned, Time Cop, Sudden Death, The Relic, The Musketeers after this, A Sound of Thunder, and the last movie that he directed in 2013, Enemies Closer. Also Beyond a Reasonable Doubt from 2009. So that being said, let me just tell you a little bit about the production. So originally Sam Raimi and Guillermo del Toro were offered End of Days, but they turned it down due to other projects. Then director Marcus Nispel was going to direct the film, but he left because of budget and script problems, which he then was replaced by Peter Hyams. And originally the role of Jericho Kane was written for Tom Cruise, but Tom Cruise chose to work on Magnolia at the time, and it was then that Arnold Schwarzenegger was then cast in the role as of March of 1998. And Liv Tyler was the first choice for the role of Christine York, but she declined over contractual issues. And then Kate Winslet was set to go into the character, but she dropped out, and Robin Tooney replaced her, according to Hyams.
Sounds like a lot of changes from the original plan.
At least up until production, definitely. So let me tell you what IMDb says about the film, and then we'll go into our initial impressions of this film. So at the end of the century, Satan visits New York in search of a bride. It's up to an ex-cop who now runs an elite security outfit to stop him. So, first impressions of this film. What was your first impression of this film, and is this a first-time watch for you?
It's not exactly the first time, actually. Today was my third time watching it. The first time was shortly after we watched that movie Ghost Ship, when you told me that this actor, Gabriel Byrne, plays the character of Satan in a movie called End of Days. I got intrigued when you told me about that, since you know I like that kind of movies. So that was my first time watching, and yesterday I watched it with you once more, and since we didn't end up going live about it yesterday, today I watched it once more. So yeah, I've seen it 3 times by now. I would say it's a really good movie, although since I have read the Bible, there are a few inconsistencies I could point out, but we will get into that. And maybe I have some mixed feelings about the ending, but still, it was a pretty good movie. I enjoyed it a lot. It was a lot of fun, very exciting, very suspenseful, even darkly humorous at moments. It was pretty good.
Okay. I'm not sure if I saw this in the theater, but I definitely picked this up when it was on VHS at the time. And then eventually, once DVD became more popular, I ended up going and picking it up because it was a film that had good replay value at the time, and I liked it more or less because of the fact that this is the first time that I actually saw Arnold Schwarzenegger as kind of like an old buzzard looking kind of action film actor. I mean, I grew up with him being like one of the big top like action films during like the especially the 80s and 90s. I know he was a big pumping iron buff character, kind of a muscle dude, and seeing him as this like depressed cop, where he's got a little bit of a religious dilemma going on. It was definitely a different role for him. I didn't entirely expect this from him at the time, so I thought it was a very different role for him. I don't think this film deserves as much razzing and negative critiquing as it did at the time. I think they got it wrong. They thought that this was like the worst role for Arnold at the time.
I don't see why.
I don't see why. I don't see why either. This is a one that I look at, and it's like, God damn, the action's there, the suspense is there, the supernatural element is there, and you got the devil on earth. What the hell more do you want?
Well, pretty much. Although by now I'm not surprised anymore at people finding all sorts of reasons to hate a movie. It's ridiculous.
Well, it's like people were really stupid in the 90s, and it's like what? What were you expecting? Something more intense or something like that? To me, it was kind of intense to me. I mean, it wasn't that it was scary or anything like that. It was amusing, and the way that Gabriel Byrne brought the devil to the role. I mean, you don't get much better than that. I mean, except for, I mean, I've seen various films depict the devil in various ways, like in the original Bedazzled from the 70s, and that one was kind of a bland Beatles-ish like devil, and then you've got the devil and Daniel Webster, who kind of like brings a little bit of more William Shakespeare like folktale-ish type devilish nature to it, and then you get films like this one and like The Devil's Advocate, where you've got a devil that basically is there to tempt like the hero, in here. So my first impressions of this film at the time were like, wow. I mean, there was definitely a lot of imagery.
Oh yeah.
And to me, it definitely had an effect on me. I mean, I grew up Christian, and seeing this type of thing, I'm like, damn. And at the time in 1999 to 2000, especially in the Americas, there was a Y2K movement going on, which was this whole idea that the digital clocks that were set for humankind would not would destroy the internet, the computers, everything by the year 2000.
I think I may have heard something about that, but I'm not too familiar with it.
Well, I am. It was a big thing at the time. The whole world was worried that everything that we had accomplished in the electronic world of computers, everything would crash, and then we'd have another like Black Tuesday. We'd invested all of our shit in computers and whatnot. That was the booming age of the internet,
Yeah, makes sense.
And they were all worried that the shit was going to malfunction and operations would cease to exist. And it was like, what? Couldn't you just imagine this world without computers? I mean, there was one point in time where we all just, made fires and like hunted on the land. I mean, it's like these people were like going crazy and nuts because oh my God, we're not gonna have any computers anymore. It's gonna suck.
Well, in all honesty, if I was in such a situation nowadays, I would probably think it would suck as well.
Yeah, I could probably live out because this world. I mean, what if suddenly electronics suddenly ceased to exist? I mean, everything stopped. I mean, yeah, it would suck because we're used to it by now, but. And it keeps us from being boring, being bored with everything. To be honest, but
it did.
But this world has come to a point in time where it's almost like we rely on our computers, we rely on our technology, and that's one thing people were scared of losing at this point in time. So that's the kind of mindset that you kind of have to go in with this film. They literally thought that the world was going to end in the year 2000.
I don't know how prominent that concern was in my country at the time. Maybe it wasn't as much as in the USA, or if it was, then I guess I don't remember it because in 1999 I was like 8 years old.
Well, that computers were made by other countries. Not a lot of computers were made by American companies back in the 2000s. So when we thought that the computers that we were so fond of were going to crash. Everyone was running around like their head was cut off or something like that. So it was mass pandemic. I mean, anyone who had any kind of money were unsure of the future. So in any case, let's take a look at the plot here. So apparently, in the very beginning, we have these Gregorian monks who are connected to the Vatican, who evidently have found out in their calendar that there is supposed to be a woman and a man that have been chosen to be the spiritual concubines of the devil's consort. Basically.
Interesting choice of words.
Well, basically, the devil is supposed to take this form of a man, and he's supposed to find a bride, and he's supposed to basically have a child before midnight on New Year's Eve after 1,000 years or so. Because apparently there was some kind of a prophecy that was prophesied in the Bible when the 1,000 years, and that was Revelations 20 verse 7, the 1,000-year reign or whatever.
Yeah, that was actually what I wanted to point out. As far as I understood in the book of Revelation, it is said that this 1,000-year reign will take place in the future. It doesn't really say that it's happening now and that that's about to end, but the whole 1,000-year thing is supposed to happen in the future.
Well, eventually we find out that apparently the number of the beast, which according to many people has always been 666, but according to the Roman Catholic Church, apparently it has always been misconceived as 666, where the reality is that it was backwards and upside down.
Yeah, like 999. Well, at least that's what they say in this movie.
Yep. So they really believe that that the devil will come to Earth and consummate his child, bringing about the opening of hell, the gateway to for hell to come on Earth, basically. But that is pretty much the background of this. But we have Arnold Schwarzenegger as Jericho Kane. What do you think about him as a character?
He was pretty good. He had to make some choices that I think in real life many people wouldn't have the strength to make. He was pretty impressive, I would say, in some situations, maybe somewhat relatable as well.
I think so. I mean, the first time we see him on screen is he's putting a gun to his head, and then his partner shows up, and the gun is sitting on the chair, and we get the feeling that he's very depressed, on the edge of his rope, and he's in a place of despair, and till he catches this case, where apparently he goes and saves this businessman from a priest shooting at him, and the priest ends up spouting some biblical nonsense, at least according to him, and unfortunately, this priest, it's unbelievable that he was able to speak anything because his tongue was cut out.
Yeah, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, they kind of didn't do a great job explaining this tongue subplot. I mean, we didn't get to know exactly why he cut his tongue out and how he was able to speak without it.
Well, when you think about supernatural, to me, it's kind of obvious. If godly like creatures can do supernatural things, don't you think that the devil has powers too?
Yeah, definitely.
So, in a sense, when the man spoke his rhymes of the Bible to him, it was kind of short of a miracle that he was even saying anything to begin with. He was trying to warn them about the fact that the 1,000 years is up, and that the devil is here on Earth, or starting to be here on Earth, and shit like that. And to me, no matter what, that message would have come out regardless whether he took his tongue out his own damn self or not.
Well, possibly, I guess.
Well, there's always good against evil to me in these kind of stories, and to me, the priest kind of represents that good side, trying to fight the evil. It's just part of the good wanted to destroy the bride and stuff. So that's why you had the specific sect that was part of the Roman Catholic Church that wanted to murder Miss Christine York, which in the background of this whole film, we have the birth of Christine in a hospital, because apparently she's been chosen to be the devil's bride, even before she was born. And we get her birth. And then the first time we actually see her is through a picture that the priest has in his somewhat lair, and we begin to see Christine York as an adult. What do you think about Robin Tooney as Christine York?
She was okay. Maybe I would have personally preferred her with longer hair or something like that, but that's just my personal preferences. She did a pretty good job as an actress, and the character is okay as well. Maybe a bit stereotypical, like we don't really get to see much of her personality and her backstory, aside from the fact that she has these hallucinations and stuff, which we can assume is because of the ritual they performed on her at the hospital when she was born. But yeah, aside from that, there isn't much to her personality that would make her a really unique person and distinguishable from other stereotypical protagonists in this kind of story, if you see what I'm trying to say. But
I see what you're trying.
Okay.
I see what you're trying to say, but I don't think we really needed much of a background other than the fact that okay, she's born born to birth the devil's child, basically. That is her background. I mean, what else do you need to know except the fact that she grew up and the devil's after her? But you do need to be invested in her, and I think she kind of does make us invested in her as a character, because the first moment that we see her is she's boarding a train, and she's followed by this crazy looking bum, and he warns her that the devil's gonna fuck her.
Yeah.
He's gonna fuck you, Christine. He's gonna fuck you.
Yeah, actually, now that character was also left a bit up to interpretation. I mean, we see him 2 or 3 times throughout the whole movie, so he is we also see him at moments when Christine is not even there, so he is definitely something more than just one of her hallucinations. Yet we never get to know exactly who he is.
True. And then of course, there is his partner, which apparently he's always with him, except for the time when he goes into Christy in York's house and tells her that he's found something about this like ancient sect, and that's but all the while we get this Gabriel Byrne character, um, this businessman who gets possessed by the spirit of the devil, apparently. Um, and he walks out of the restroom because he's at a business meeting with a client or whatnot. And he walks to the back of the back restroom, and he gets basically possessed. He walks back out. He walks up to the table, and he basically pulls out the wife of the husband of whatever client that he's there. They're having a dinner meeting with. He takes out her breast, and he basically makes out with her, and then he walks out of the building while it's exploding. So, what do you think about that very first scene that we see Gabriel Byrne as the devil?
The first time I saw it, it was somewhat shocking, but still pretty amusing. That scene is pretty fun. That's where we see him being this kind of stereotypical movie devil character, which apparently gets women all excited and scares men away just by looking at them and stuff like that. And then, of course, the explosion, which you know what I always say when something explodes in a movie.
Yep. And I guess Udo Kier, who is a phenomenal actor, I think. He's an Italian actor that is kind of well known. He plays like the lead of this secular cult thing. He's kind of been keeping track of Christine York through that nurse that kind of was there at her birth. And he's kind of like the devil's handyman on earth, his right hand man, at least until he has no need of him anymore. But we do have the moment when he shows up to his place, and his wife and daughter are sitting at the table, and he's like, "Is this your wife? Is this your daughter?" And then he makes love to them, and it's like they contort, and it's by this time that you know that this guy is like this is how things are with the devil. I mean, pleasure and death, and by use of this act of mating, he connects with Christine's dreams, which basically she's been having like these erotic dreams of of the devil basically fucking her for her entire life. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do if I were a woman and I'd been fucked my entire life in my dreams. I mean,
Well,
I'd probably be pretty mentally like attuned to every erotic fantasy that there would be.
Yeah, well, what if it was vice versa? What if you were the man that you are and the devil was a woman?
That would be different.
Right?
Who's to say that women aren't devils themselves? Anyways, I mean they are tempting. Their flesh is can be beautiful, and you never know exactly what you're going to say in front of them. You never, of course. It's always with the devils, you know. So.
Yeah.
But in any case, so what do you think of this this concept? I mean, do you believe in the idea that that they should actually kill her before this night is over, or are you on the other end of believing where you can't kill an evil by committing evil?
Well, in theory, I do understand why some people would think that killing her is a solution. Like just to be safe, let's do it that way. I somewhat do see why some people would see it that way, but I myself am still on the other side. I would definitely rather try anything else before trying to do something like that. I would do everything possible to stop the whole thing without having to kill someone innocent.
I hear too. I think that I would try to stop from killing an innocent before before killing something, and I don't know why. I kind of believe in the idea that you cannot really fight evil with evil. Yeah, you kind of have to fight evil with acts of good. Uh,
Uh, Exactly, and generally, I'm a person who is, even in situations that aren't as extreme as this, I'm always against collateral damage. Like, that should never be an option.
True. Which is kind of funny. I think that Arnold Schwarzenegger was in a movie called Collateral Damage. Uh,
Wow, I didn't know.
but in any case, so I also kind of I don't like the violence that happened in Jericho Kane's life, but I do think the way that the devil brought how things happened with his wife and daughter um, to him when he was tempting him to fall in line with him, to be on his side or whatnot. It kind of brings me to like Old Testament times, because there was a time where in the Bible supposedly that Jesus Christ was tempted by the devil 3 times, if I remember correctly. And
Yeah, but that was in the New Testament.
yes, it was, but it was very very near the front of the damn thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in any case, but it kind of reminds me of that particular period in time, because if the devil were really not that worried, then he wouldn't even care to try to even talk to Jericho Kane. But obviously, he's worried that he'll get in his way, and he doesn't really want to kill him because it would kind of be a martyr or whatnot. Maybe he may even feel sorry for him because of what his wife and daughter went through. But he was trying to put him on his side, and I think he was doing so because he would be a very powerful hatred symbol for his damnation kingdom, whatever the fuck that he was going to bring onto Earth if this went through, you know.
Yeah.
What did you think about that whole scenario where he was shown his wife and daughter being attacked by these criminals, and that
It was definitely one of the most intense scenes of the movie, and that was what I was referring to when I said that Jericho made some choices that many people probably wouldn't have the strength to make. Like, imagine if you lost people you care about the most, and then someone came to you and said, "I can bring them back just to give me what I need." Who would really have the strength to say no?
exactly. I mean, I guess it depends upon how much good is within you to choose the latter path. You know, I mean, that was a powerful thing that he could have done, even though he even said to that one priest that he meets, because he tells him that you know him and God just didn't agree with each other because he thought that his wife should live, and he thought that they should die. So, to be honest, a lot of this has to do with the idea of faith. And
Uh,
what do you think about the idea of faith?
well, I think it's good for the people who have it and who find some comfort or relief in it. But I myself, well, you know, I am an atheist. But if I did believe in God, then if something like that happened to me, if I lost people I cared about the most, and if I still believed in God after that, then I would probably blame Him for my loss. And I would think if you exist, you deserve to be overthrown as soon as possible.
Well,
Honestly.
this movie definitely puts in mind that an oily businessman man would definitely be the right man for the devil job. Hey,
Yeah.
but in any case, what do you think about the the people who seem to want to make sure that Christine York doesn't see the light of day? What do you think about those guys who are working for the Catholic Church? Do you think that those kind of people are out there?
Well, in well, I don't know actually, since in real life we don't really have people whose existence is believed to threaten the whole world. But if that was the case, yeah, maybe there would be people who would be trying to kill that person just to be safe, even if that person doesn't really want to do anything bad. But yeah, like I said, I don't really agree with those people. While I do understand their logic, I would never do things their way myself. Like I said, I would always try every other possible solution before trying to do harm to someone who isn't trying to do harm to anyone else.
Knowing what I know about the history of the Catholic Church, they have done everything they can possibly imagine to cover up the true reality of the. They've tried to keep the sacred texts of the Bible safe, and they've used death and destruction in the past. And to be honest, these were people of power who were connected to the Catholic Church. So to me, I do feel like there is a possibility that, you know, bits and pieces of the Catholic Church may, if there was something that was impossible to believe, that would contradict their religion and prove that there was a God, or prove that there was no existence of one, I believe that they would go out of their way to smite both. Just on the pure fact that they don't want their religion tampered with.
Quite possibly, after all, it's what brings them power and wealth, which is what they are essentially after.
Where there is undeniable proof of existence or non-existence, there's always someone there to doubt. And to me, I think that there are sects like this out there that really do believe in protecting the idea of God, or the idea of no existence of God, or in that actuality, faith, faith in or faith without. You know, I mean, it's a big controversy to me. To be honest, whether you believe or don't believe, that is besides the case. This was an interesting look into the world at the time during a possible, end of days scenario. You know, if I believe that a lot of people have thought about the end of the world.
Yeah, many times since I was born. Actually, I've heard all sorts of apocalypse scenarios by now.
And this one looked like it was fairly well put together. I mean, except for a little idiosyncrasies with the Bible, which, to be honest, what were some of those things that you believe that were different from the Bible?
Oh, let's see. So it was Revelation chapter 20, verse 7. That was what they said. Now let's see. I have it in Croatian here, but I'll try to figure out what it says. So Revelation 20, it says, well, I will translate it from my head, so in English it's probably not word by word the way I will say. Then I saw an angel coming down from the sky. In his hand he had the key of the abyss and a big chain. He caught the dragon, that old serpent known as the devil or Satan, and he bound him with a chain for 1,000 years. The angel threw him in the abyss and locked it and sealed the gate, so that the dragon couldn't seduce people for 1,000 years. Now, at least the way people say nowadays, the devil is active and seducing people. So if this was so this 1,000 years when he cannot do anything would have to take place in the future if any of this was true. And then it says, yeah, after that the dragon will be released for a short time. Then I saw the thrones. There sat those who were given the authority to judge. I saw the souls of those who were beheaded for testifying for Jesus and the message of God. They did not bow down to the beast or to the statue of the beast, and they did not receive the mark of the beast on their foreheads, on their hands. They came back to life and reigned along with Christ for 1,000 years. The other dead did not come back to life until the 1,000 years passed. That's the first resurrection. Blessed are and holy those who participate in the first resurrection. The second death has no power over them. Instead of that, they will be God's and Christ's priests. They will reign with him for 1,000 years. What I have read is Revelation 20, verses 1 to 6, and then verse 7 comes, which is what this movie says. And when the 1,000 years have ended, Satan will be released from his dungeon. So, yeah, according to this, the whole thing is supposed to happen in the future. This 1,000 years is not happening right now or in 1999 or whatever.
Well, yeah, but you in all context, you have to suspend some suspicion of belief in following the story, and I thought it was using some of the mythos of the end of days prophecy, and then taking it with its own story per se. Now you think that this has some Omen vibes?
Oh yeah. Actually, this movie reminded me of The Omen quite several times, including the beginning when it was all about the alignment of stars, a child being born. This thing well, okay, the Omen, they didn't really perform a ritual on the child when it was born, but still it had a lot of Omen vibe to me.
Well, I know that I remember. Miriam Margolis, who plays Mabel, the nurse, who brought Miss York up. Man, when she went after Arnold Schwarzenegger and threw him against the wall and pushed a whole grand piano on his ass, that was pretty intense.
Yeah, actually, now that you're mentioning it, it is quite a bit like the Omen scene when Mrs. Baylock attacked Robert Thorne to protect Damien.
Well, and this isn't the first time that she's played a nurse either. She played a nurse in the not Franco Zeffirelli version of Romeo and Juliet, but the guy who directed Moulin Rouge also directed Leonardo DiCaprio in a version of Romeo and Juliet,
Cool.
where she played the nurse of Juliet in there, and they did that. They did that film by doing straight Shakespeare. So, which is a fairly different version of a nurse, but I thought that she went nutso in here for sure. And then when Gabriel Byrne's character came up to her, he was like, "I gave you specific instructions to take care of her, and you couldn't even do that."
Yeah, actually, that makes you wonder if Jericho had said yes to him, would he have really brought his child back, or he have just also disposed of him when he wouldn't need him anymore?
Well, and I thought it was kind of interesting when it went right before he went into the whole underground like train station part, where the old man with the patch over his eye or whatever, it was like, "Oh, you have like tons of hate in your heart. You can go, you can come through."
Well, yeah, I think he had his eyelids sealed together or something like that. It looked kind of nasty.
Yes. And not only that, I thought it was strange that even his police captain and some of her cohorts were possessed enough to go against him in this whole thing. I thought that was kind of weird, where all of these different like policemen were seemed to be going up against him and beating him down and beating Arnold Schwarzenegger down. And I thought that when he put him up on a cross like thing against a building, that was intense. The fact that it looked like he almost crucified him.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was very visual as far as anything else. What do you think about that particular scene where he pretty much got the beat down? His partner kind of betrayed him, and he gets hung up on like a cross like thing on the wall, and the priest comes back and sees him and brings him down. What do you think about that?
Well, it looked rather intense, actually. I think maybe they should have put some more emphasis on that, and maybe it should have ended up being more plot relevant, not just show him to us crucified, and then he is suddenly brought back down, and that's it. A scene like that, a scene like that should have probably have made more impact on the plot, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So after he wakes up from that big ass beat down, he hightails it to the evidence or the armory of the police station. Grabs as many guns and weapons as he can, and then heads down to the underground railroad stuff. And basically, he comes up against his buddy who has been resurrected and his police captain, and he creates an explosion that kills the man body that the devil has possessed. And I guess he hightails it back to that church that which is where he takes Christine, and I guess What do you think about what the creature, the devil, looks like when he comes up out of the ground?
Oh, it definitely looked very intimidating, very well made. Although, in my opinion, if they already were trying to make it look all based on the Book of Revelation, then this creature should have actually been a seven-headed dragon, as Satan is described in the Bible. But it still looks pretty good.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you really wanted to get down to the whole hell and brimstone factor of it, yeah, he probably should have been just that type of a devil, but he was not. So what? Now you said something about the ending that you wish it had been different.
Oh, yeah, I kind of dislike the fact that Jericho kills himself, especially because at that point when the devil entered his body, it was, from what I understood, merely a matter of seconds until the new year, when apparently it would be too late for the devil to conceive his child. So when Jericho managed to take over for a moment and tell Christine to run, he released her, and then I think his death was a bit pointless because in only a few seconds it would have been too late for the devil anyway. So I think he did, didn't have to kill himself.
Okay. So at this a moment, I think to me, there were actually two endings, and
Oh,
Universal was not originally for this ending, but once they actually saw this ending, they liked this ending better.
I,
See, they were against having Arnold die. They wanted a good ending. So he filmed both, and I think the alternate ending is on the disc as like.
I was about to ask. I would kind of like to see the other ending, but
Um,
I
but
don't have the DVD.
basically, if I remember correctly, they had him actually kiss Christine York at the end or some shit like that. And
Oh,
he left the building or whatnot after saving her. At least that is what I think the original ending is. I have not seen it in quite some time, and I prefer this death ending because then he gets to see like his love
oh,
and you kind of think that he's actually going up there with them. So
mm, yeah. When you put it that way, indeed, it's not that bad when you put it that way. But then again, before he jumped on that sword, he had not really seen them, and he didn't know he was going to see them. So I still think it was a bit of a strange decision for him to make.
so if there was a favorite scene that you could take from this particular film, what would you take from it?
Good question. There were quite many scenes that I liked. All the explosions were pretty fun. Then I also liked the scene when the devil was tempting Jericho. It was also pretty good. And the train scene as well, of course. And when the devil appeared in the form of a dragon, monster, whatever it was, that was pretty good as well. it's kind of difficult to choose only one actually.
It is. I would have to say the part where the devil, like, well, when he's finally the devil, he walks up to the woman and like grabs her tit and like starts making out with her. That's one of my favorite moments. I don't know why that just shows the shows what kind of a person he really is, you know.
Yeah, it
And then
also
when he makes out with dude's wife and daughter, I don't know why that is just so odd. And to be honest, the music of this, I had the soundtrack for many years. I
ooh,
liked the music behind it. I know it had Limp Bizkit and Super Beast on it. I think no, not Super Beast. One of Rob Zombie's songs on it, and I know it had Power Man 5000 and a few others that I remember listening to over and over for some time. So,
ooh,
um,
ooh.
but definitely, and C.H. Pounder as Detective Marge Francis. Um, I remember her from Life Pod. Um,
Oh, and Psycho 4, the beginning.
yeah, I remember her from those two films, and we've seen her in a couple of films. So seeing her in this being possessed, that was kind of cool. And when he resurrected her again, that was an interesting moment. So,
Indeed.
other than that, is there anything else that you would like to talk about this film? I thought that the exorcism that was going on, or the prophecy woman, part was kind of weird too, where he,
Oh yeah, with the stigmata.
yeah, the stigmata that was going on, which kind of brings about a connection to stigmata.
Right. Yeah, I was reminded of it as well.
And then she was all healed like later on, which was weird, you know. And then when Christine York was down in that underground part, I guess she was speaking to her, I guess, a little bit. It was just all kinds of funky, but it was definitely. I thought this was an entertaining supernatural film. It made you kind of wonder about some of your beliefs and how far of a jump would you believe that this could actually happen. You know,
Mm,
at the time, it was a very intense film, and at the time, I didn't understand critic responses. I wasn't even a film reviewer, and I look at this film and I rewatch it. And I love it. I love every single detail about this film. I don't know why. It's not my favorite film, but it's one of my favorite devil films. To be honest, the way that Gabriel Byrne acts is just how I think that he would act. You know,
indeed, actually, uh, I'm sorry for interrupting. What were you going to say?
nothing. Go ahead.
Uh, I wanted to say those scenes of him seducing women, having sex with them, and so on. It somewhat reminded me of Lucifer Morningstar, the Tom Ellis version, which is one of my favorite versions of the devil of all times.
It did a little bit, didn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
he's a little bit more devilish than anything else, but um, I I liked this one. This was a very interesting interpretation of the um, of the devil, and I thought it was entertaining. I thought it brought to the screen what it needed at the time. They may not have been the actors or actresses that they set out to have with the film, but I believe that these are the actors and actresses that were needed for the film. So, and I didn't have a problem with Arnold Schwarzenegger's acting in here. I mean, there when he was being possessed by the devil at the towards the end, that sort of reminded me of the moment in Total Recall when him and his main actress were like shot out to Mars and baking in the Mars atmosphere. It just kind of reminded me of that kind of reaction at that time. So in any case, but thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming along with us for this discussion.
Thank you all.
Hopefully, you enjoyed how we sort of explained this film and the things that we liked and the things that we didn't like. And next week we'll be going on about the film called I think Eli. I think we'll check out that film. I guess one of Boris's friends told us about it. And
a friend has been telling me I should watch that movie, and I really should. I just haven't gotten to it because I've been kind of busy with all sorts of things. So it's really good that I'm getting to it with you now.
Most definitely. So thank you for listening. Have a great day, evening, or morning, or wherever you are. And thank God it's past 1999 because then I don't have to worry about the devil coming here on Earth.
Indeed.
But I would probably enjoy it if it did. Probably. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much of a devil I'd be. So, in any case,
wouldn't it be interesting to see all that imagery from the Book of Revelation in real life?
Definitely. So, like, share, and subscribe, ladies and gentlemen, and hopefully you have a great day and enjoy.
Indeed.